meeting set. Cool.
Carl, so tell us a little bit about how you came to be involved with Shane.
Well, I signed, first of all, I signed pro with Barry, and I was training actually in Belfast for the first part of my career, my professional career. I was, to be honest, at the start quite happy to do that, and as time progressed, I started coming over to London and basing myself here, and I was working with Barry at the start and also a little bit with Shane. I had a couple of fights where my performances weren't great. I put them down to fitness. I didn't think I was getting the proper training and training right. And one bad performance in particular. I remember Shane actually sitting at ringside. I won the fight, but it wasn't a great performance for me. But he was the voice that I wanted to hear. I had cornermen in the ring, in between rounds, talking to me. But he was the voice I was looking for outside. So I kind of realised then I need to be here training with Shane full time, and that's what I've done.
What was it about the voice that you heard that made you think that's what I need to do? What was he saying?
It just his instructions was accurate. They always worked. You know, he could spot things. He can, you know, we'd sit down and watch opponents together sometimes, and he can spot weaknesses before I can. I'm quite good at sussing opponents out when I'm in the ring. He can sit and watch footage, and he'll tell you which combination is going to work best against them. And I was always just wanted to hear what he was saying. I always listened to his advice in the corner in between rounds. There's some cornermen where you would go back and you would sit in your stool and you know what they're going to tell you. It's the same old advice every single round, no matter what the opponent's doing. It's always the same. But with Shane, it's the stuff he's telling you is only going to benefit.
So it's his ability to read the fight, I suppose. Do you think that comes from his upbringing, his background? Do you think that's where it's got?
Well, I think partly. I think that he can read a fight, obviously, because he's been involved in boxing his whole life. He's been following Barry around when he was a kid, going to all these shows, and he loves it. There's other people who have been involved in boxing though who can't read a fight like Shane. I think you just either have it or you don't, and he has it.
So amazingly, he's 2 years your junior, isn't it?
Yeah.
What do you think that gives you as a sort of collaborative pair that other fighters don't have?
I don't know. Yeah, it's a very, very strange situation that a fighter to have a coach younger than him. They're usually, you know, a lot of coaches you would see in their 60s, sometimes 70s, and sometimes 80s. Boxing is a sport that is, in my opinion, still full of dinosaurs and people with old school mentalities. In Shane, we've got a guy with a younger approach who knows about S&C, he knows about nutrition, he knows how to read a fight, he knows how to make a game plan, he knows how to get me fit. So he's not just a one-trick pony. There's guys who are good at one thing, you know, boxing coaches, and then you have to be sent away to an S&C coach, and then you have to be sent away to a nutritionist. He's the whole package, and he does everything for me, plans it meticulously, and it's working a treat so far.
So when I've spent 3 hours here this morning, my kind of first experience of being a part of this. One of the things that comes across massively is the sense of family and the importance of family. How easy was it for you to assimilate into the McGuigan family, to be a part of that cyclone world?
Well, they're all very welcoming. You know, before I'm living with Shane now, and during training camps, I live with him in his apartment in London. But before that, I was in Kent, down at Barry's house, and pretty much living with the family there. Barry's wife Sandra used to cook my food for me and used to wash my clothes and everything. And they're all very welcoming to me, and you know, it may sound a wee bit cheesy or whatever, but I genuinely feel part of the family. I hope they feel like that too. It's a very close-knit team. I know they have my best interests at heart. They've guided my whole career perfectly. I would never ever see myself working with another team. And the McGuigans as a whole, they've really looked after me, guided my career perfect. And I'm world champion, and I haven't even had 20 fights yet. There's not many people can say that.
So the name McGuigan, must have meant. Can you remember a time when you didn't know that name in boxing?
Well, it was a huge name back home. Me being got involved in boxing when I was 7 years old, so I pretty much knew of Barry McGuigan since then. He's not just a boxing legend back home, but he's a hero he's just a sporting legend and a hero. So many people admire him, admired what he done and when he done it during the middle of the Troubles. And he brought the community together. He's made a massive influence on everything good about Northern Ireland. I think Barry he's a big name. So I always knew of him. I always respected him, and to be working with him and him to be guiding me, it's fantastic.
So you're living with Shane now. What's he like to be as a flatmate?
He's good. Shane's good. I heard him saying there I'm messy. I think he's more messy than me, if I'm going to be 100% honest. But it's good crack. You know, obviously it's important to. We have a friendship, a good friendship, but it's important for me to know who the boss is, and I know Shane's the boss. When during training sessions, when he tells me to jump, I say hi, and I just do it. But we can have great crack when the time's right. But when it's time to get serious, I'll always listen to him.
Tell us where you're at in terms of fight camp at the moment.
We're right in the middle of it. We're kind of, I think we're about less than 6 weeks to go now till the fight. So right in the middle of it. I'm sparring heavy. We've got a Mexican, undefeated Mexican coming in for sparring in the next couple of days. So it's hard stuff at the minute. This is the heavy stuff. We've got probably another 4 weeks of training like this, and maybe even picking it up slightly, and then we'll start to taper off a little bit and start to conserve energy in the run up to the fight.
What's it like to be at the sort of the centre of the whirlwind, so to speak? As you come up to the fight, it's all around you. What's it like to be right there in the middle?
Do you know what? I like it. I like it. There's obviously a bit of pressure because I need to win. It's up to me to win, to keep having these big shows, to keep bringing these big nights back to Belfast. So the atmosphere that can be created at home in Belfast is second to none, and I want to keep these big nights happening. So I need to keep winning, but without sounding big-headed, the spotlight's kind of on me. We've got a whole team doing everything in the background, but I need to win. That's the bottom line, and I'll do everything I can to make that happen.
How do you keep level-headed?
I was going to say, can we ever focus on, if possible, on Carl, the world champion, obviously, because that's just happened. That's the biggest thing. So I was going to ask on that, because I know that you're getting some stuff from the family as well. But if I was going to ask because people in boxing really want to hear about how where he is now in his career as a champion. So I understand, obviously, you guys are looking for an angle with the link with Shane and Carl and stuff. But obviously, the people will want to know about him as a fighter. So I'm just going to ask if we can try and include that in there, focus on the man himself and where he's at.
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what we're going into there. So, going back to sort of winning on that night, sort of talk us through the sort of the feelings that you had sort of in those.
The night, the world title fight itself, there was so much pressure. It was easily the biggest crowd I've ever fought in front of. There was a purpose-built stadium. 16,000 people came to the Titanic Quarter that night, and I think it was shown in 90 countries around the world. The amount of people watching that fight was unbelievable. I don't know the exact figures, but a lot of people had seen the fight. There was a lot of pressure on me. It was against a guy who had already beaten, so people were kind of thinking this is going to be an easy night. Frampton's beat him once, he'll do it again. But I knew it was going to be a tough fight. Kiko had become a world champion and defended his title twice. I think he had improved as a fighter, and I knew that. But the pressure was definitely on me. But that's the thing with me. I think I performed best under pressure, and I did that night. It was my best performance to date. I think I'm 27 now. I'm in the prime of my life, but I'm still getting better. I'm still learning all the time in the gym. But that night was unbelievable. Really well. I'll never forget it. It was, apart from getting married and having kids, I have to say that, I suppose. But that was the best night apart from that.
So I was going to ask before, how do you stay level-headed with all that going? So you're world champion.
Yeah.
All that going on around you. How do you keep your feet?
I think you just be yourself, you know, that's all, that's it really. I have a good team around me who won't let me get too big-headed, not that I would anyway. I know that my wife would quickly get me in check if I started getting too big for my boots as well, but I'm just a down-to-earth guy. I'm not doing anything different. I'm the same person I was when I was an amateur fighter and no one had a clue who I was, so I'm just the same guy, and I think that's why the people like me, and I think that's why they come out to support me. I'm a average working class guy who's, you know, put a lot of time and effort into something that he loves, and I've done well.
What do you look to beyond the fight? Sort of, you're going through a really intense period of training. Let me ask, what do you like and dislike about this period of what you're doing?
I'm away from my family. That's the worst thing. I have a wife and a young daughter, Carla, who's 4, and a newborn son who's just 9 weeks, Rosa. So that's the hardest thing. And I leave my wife alone, and she has to look after them, and it's hard for her, and she gets lonely sometimes. But she understands that this is a short career for me, and I only get one shot at it. So she's allowed me to do that. She put her career on hold as well. She's a very clever girl. She's got a degree in criminology and criminal justice, and she's just put everything on hold to allow me to realise a dream. That's the hardest part, being away from them. You know, the training's hard. You know, having to stick to a diet for 12 weeks, it's hard, but it doesn't compare to being away from your loved ones.
We did quite, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Because as I said, we want to come back to
Yeah.
more interviews that are specifically
Yeah,
about
no
you.
problem.
So,
Don't worry.
This is
all right?
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
No problem.